Hey everyone, Jason from Off the Beaten Path. So was down in the Bairnsdale area for work-related purposes. So today's Saturday morning. I stayed down here last night, actually at Traralgon. Yesterday was a cracking day, blue skies, sunshine, beautiful weather. I don't know if you can tell by what you can see out the window there behind me, but let's just say today's not the same. Apparently got a fair bit of rain last night, and there's certainly a very heavy bank of low cloud. So currently heading north towards the Walhalla Historic area, and okay, here's problem number one. This road is closed. Okay. That's useful. Not. Yeah. Anyway, we'll figure that out, or the navigator will. So yeah, remains to be seen how far I can go today. I had a plan for going up through the Walhalla Historic area, checking out some of the tracks along there, and then maybe up to Mount Angus. And then back through to Lycola, yeah, from there was just going to make my way back towards Aubrey. Anyway, we'll see what we see.
So there's the map of the area. We're heading north on the Tyers Walhalla Road, out of Tyers. That's where I just refueled. We're going to stop on the way and check out a lookout just off to the left-hand side, and then make our way up to Coopers Creek, the township, and then the campground before heading on to the historic area and township of Walhalla. This was an area that I hadn't actually researched at all. I literally just picked it off a map, deciding to do some tripping around after being down here for work, and look, I was certainly glad I did. So as you can see here, we're on the bitumen climbing up into the hills north of Tyers, and this is the Tyers lookout. Quite a nice view, almost back to the coast. Probably on a clear day you can make the coastline out. You could certainly pick out the power stations there.
So, Walhalla Trail, Gippsland. So as you can see there, we're in Tyers, little township north of Traralgon, and the plan is to head up to Coopers Creek and then into the Walhalla township. Check that out and go from there.
So as you saw, that lookout's literally just on the side of the road, a nice quick easy stop, and from there we headed north, and I saw a sign to Peterson's lookout, which I decided to go and check out, because I really had no fixed plan other than the rough plan I mentioned in the introduction video. I really didn't have a clear plan for what I was doing and where I needed to get to. I planned to take 2 days just getting back home to Aubrey, so thought I had plenty of time and decided to take a few side trips and do a bit more exploring than I might otherwise do on a planned trip. So this is the turn off here to Peterson's lookout, look, if you're in the area you want to check this out. I did see somebody come in a two-wheel drive vehicle. It was wet, a little bit slippery in sections when I was there, but they made it in and out. So if conditions are dry, I would expect you to have no trouble at all in a two-wheel drive vehicle, and any all-wheel drive vehicle is going to be fine getting in and out of here. There's a few side tracks. I'm not sure that they're official tracks, but if you stay on this main access route, I don't think you'll have any troubles whatsoever at all. It's a pretty well formed path or road, and it's not too long. It's about 3 kilometres probably from the main Tyers Walhalla Road, so not a long side trip, and the walk at the end is relatively short. Last little turn off here, and a short run down this hill to the parking area at the base. It's not a real big parking area. I'm guessing it doesn't get a huge number of visitors. As you can see, there was no one else here when I pulled up, and I think there was one other vehicle when I came back to my car looking to leave. So yeah, starts off fairly steady descent down this hill there, and you can see there's a memorial plaque here naming the lookout Jim Peterson's Lookout, and it's named for James Milton Peterson, who was the senior vice president of the Latrobe Valley Field Naturalist Club. He passed away back in 1971, and he was quite instrumental in getting a lot of the parks in this area, particularly one that we're overlooking here, established.
Go and check this out.
When I came down to this lookout, I had no idea
Just make the river out down there.
what it would be overlooking. I kind of thought it would probably look back to the
There's
coast.
two parts to Peterson's Lookout, this part and over there. So let's head over there and see what we can see.
That's the second part of the lookout, so it is broken
Quite an
into
amazing
two
find.
separate locations, and well worth the effort to visit both. They're pretty close together. Well established steps and handrails, so pretty safe. You can see the bushfires have come through here in the not too distant past.
Definitely worth the walk to the second lookout. You can see the river down there. Not 100% sure what river it is. Cracking view from up here though. And just through the trees there you can barely make out the first lookout. And looking back you can just make out, I assume that's Traralgon, could be Maui, not 100% sure.
And back in the car after that, and straight back up to the bitumen. As I said, pretty easy run. And from here, heading north towards Coopers Creek. Now, when you look on the map, you'll see this as we get a bit closer. When you look on the map, it looks like the road connects through Coopers Creek to Coopers Creek Campground. There's a township, which is privately owned, currently on the market for sale at the time of editing, and there's also the Coopers Creek Campground, and it looks like you can go through the township to get to the campground. Currently you can't. The current owner is not allowing access. I mean, I get it, there's always idiots that don't respect people's property, which is unfortunately. Now the no through road sign here is kind of letting you know that that's the case, but you're looking at your map and going, well, it looks like I can get through. Still glad I drove down here. It wasn't that far, and it's again basically a sealed road all the way down. Not particularly wide, but given it ultimately terminates at private property and there's not a lot of side tracks or campgrounds or anything, I don't see that as a huge issue. So this open cleared area down the bottom here is the Coopers Creek Township. So there's an old pub or hotel and a house and a few other associated outbuildings, as you can see there in the distance, and there's a real estate sign there. So as I said, it was, and at the time of editing is still on the market for sale, which is pretty amazing. A brilliant looking property, amazingly located. As you can see there, plenty of signs saying this is the end of the road, private property from here on, do not continue. Now the access to the campground is actually, see that house in the distance there is literally just past there. You can see on the map here, the red dot is where we've stopped, the bottom red dot, and the second red dot there is the turnoff to the campground. And in order to get around there, we need to go all the way back out to the main road and drive around. So on my way heading out, I did spy this little side track, and I'd had an hour or so of bitumen driving by this point, and couldn't help myself but to go and check this out. And again, I've left this in because I always get asked, hey, particularly when you're solo driving, do you ever check out these bog holes before just jumping straight in? And I do. So yeah, this is one of those times. I mean, I was in an area that I didn't particularly know. I'd never been here before, and I was by myself. So I absolutely wanted to check these out and see what the bottoms were like and get any little obstacles like that. One thing with IFS vehicles, loose sticks like that in these little bog holes seem to get caught up in your suspension pretty readily, and they'll jam up and tear your CV boots and all kinds of things. So yeah, certainly worth getting out of there, that's for sure. And went down just to have a look at the next one. As you can see, it's reasonably wet all the way through, and we had a fair bit of rain just the night before, so all seem to have a pretty good base, just with a lot of water sitting on top. So apologies for the water on the camera lens. I do try and remember to wipe it clear from time to time when it's raining or has been raining, but it really only takes a few drops to get on there to make the picture look like this. So my hope was that this would go through to the mica track or something else, and it would just provide an alternative way of continuing on with my trip without having to just get back out on the bitumen and drive the bitumen. And failing that, it at least might be an interesting exploration of the area and might lead to some cool campsites or something. You certainly never know what you're going to find when you head down these sort of tracks. And this was certainly one that wasn't marked on any of the maps that I had with me. In terms of places I've been before, this whole area through here reminded me a lot of the Otways, actually. Had a very similar sort of feel to it. I guess that makes sense. They're not that far apart. Yeah, I was certainly wondering, where was this track actually going? How far was I going to get? And was I going to end up bogged and stuck down here in the middle of basically nowhere, with potentially a long walk to get some help? I mean, I do have the winch, so really, and I've got the max track, so really should be able to get myself out of trouble. And I've just paused there because I think I've seen something ahead on the track, and just poked the nose up to confirm that. Sure enough, there's a pretty decent sized log there across the track, and it looks like it's been there a while. This area here seems to have perhaps been cleared out to be a bit of a turning area. Now, I did have my chainsaw with me, but again, I really didn't want to spend an hour or two clearing a track that I actually had no idea if it went anywhere. So it was just easier just to turn around and head back out, and yeah, call this one quits for the day. So yeah, back to those couple of bog holes there at the start of the track, and as you can see, it's literally almost straight back onto the bitumen at the end of this track. So from here we continued north towards the turnoff to the Coopers Creek Township. Along the way there was the mica track, which loops off the main Tyers Walhalla Road and back onto it. I could see that there was a bit of timber plantation in the area, and as you can probably tell there from the sound, and you can probably see on the camera, it has started actually raining. Now, one of the reasons I was keen to come down here was that track on the right. The map did show a track connecting from down near Coopers Creek Township back up to this mica track. The bottom end of it looked steep, muddy, clay, slippery, so I didn't try and drive up it, but I was just interested to see if it actually connected through, and it does. Again, I wasn't going to drive that today, having seen what the bottom end looked like. File that one away for if I'm in this area again when conditions are a little bit drier and not so wet and slippery. So this was a pretty comfortable drive. It's marked on the HEMA as an easy grade track, and I think that's probably fair and reasonable. Again, in dry conditions you could drive this probably in a two-wheel drive. It's a little bit wet and slippery in places, so having an all-wheel drive when it's wet certainly would be beneficial, just to give you that little bit of extra traction. A little bit of a descent here, and again, because it was a bit slippery, I think I just dropped down into low range there just to control my speed with a bit of engine braking, as I didn't want to be braking too hard on this surface and starting to slide or anything like that. I had let the tyre pressures down at this point to I think about 27, 28 psi, so not super low, but just enough to add a little bit of traction with a little bit more contact area. As you can see there, lots of tree ferns or man ferns, depending what you call those in the part of the world where you are. But it certainly had a very tropical sort of feel to it, similar to the Otways in that way. Not like a North Queensland rainforest tropical. Probably don't actually know what I'm talking about. Let's not talk about trees and vegetation. It's very green. Let's leave it at that. Certainly a scenic part of the world to explore through here. Again, just another part of the high country that's different to so many of the other areas that we typically get into. And by this point, we're actually getting pretty close to having finished this loop and made it nearly all the way around and looking to come back out onto the main road. And lo and behold, you can see some evidence that you've probably seen some evidence there of some past tree falls that have been cleared away. This one's probably happened in the last day or so with the heavy rain that had occurred, and there was no way I was spending, again, an hour and a half or so clearing that by myself. I would have had to cut it up in pieces and drag it off the track as best I could, and yeah, it just was not going to happen. It hadn't taken me that long to get here, probably 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. Yeah, it was a heck of a lot quicker and easier to just turn around once again and head back to the bitumen. I'd sort of fulfilled the purpose for the reason I'd come down here. So yeah, back to the bitumen, northbound. So the turn off here is the turn off to Walhalla, and just here on the right is one of the first mine tours that you can actually do. And you can see there, that is the Long Tunnel Extended Gold Mine Tour. Now they run daily throughout most of the year, from what I understand. And definitely something I wouldn't mind coming back and checking out with the family at a later date. That's certainly one thing I did find out, is that there was just so much to see and explore in this area, and just passing through in one day certainly didn't do it justice. So yeah, those mine tours are every day, and on weekends, public holidays and school holidays, they run at midday, 1:30 and 3 p.m, and on other days 1:30 p.m. only. Total numbers limited to around 20 people. Worth arriving at least 15 to 20 minutes beforehand. Families are $60, adults $25, children under 16, $20. So following this road through towards Walhalla, we've reached the turnoff here down to the Coopers Creek campground. Now those signs there would have looked familiar. This is a day use area here just on the right hand side, so you can park in there. There's lots of walking tracks in this area, and again there's other mines to explore. So as I said, it's certainly an area you could spend quite a bit of time in. And the run down here to the Coopers Creek campground was again very scenic along the wall of the gorge, really green. Not a super wide track. It is sealed, so in good conditions, but I'm sort of imagining that people are going to bring caravans down in here. If you're trying to pass one of those, it's probably a little more interesting. And just on the right hand side there, that open area is the Coopers Creek Township site. We're literally, as it just came up on the screen, we're like 200 metres from where we were a couple of hours ago. Just one of those things, like I get it. Last thing they need is idiots going in there, turn around, ripping the joint up, and you could see some evidence on some of these tracks just to the right here where that's probably happened. So yeah, just continue past here on towards the campground. Now, as we come along here, the access to the campground is down on the left, and the road straight ahead actually takes you back into the Coopers Creek Townsite, which is the private property. I did just poke my nose down there just to see where the private property signs are at this end, and as it turns out, they're just over this bridge, so not too far at all. So you can see as you come across the bridge here, there's the private property sign saying no entry. And that yellow building there with the roof was the second building that we could see from the other end. So we're literally, I reckon, maybe 100 metres from where we turned around some time ago. So maybe if it gets sold and gets reopened and somebody's running a business there, maybe that access will change over time, who knows. But yeah, from that turn off there, really short run down into Coopers Creek campground, and wasn't it worth the wait to get here? Right on the Thompson River. Look at that. So by the look of the signage in the area, really popular canoeing and kayak destination, and I can understand why. And the local council certainly spent, and/or parks have certainly spent some time, effort, and money upgrading the amenities and facilities here. There's good parking, long drop toilets, good fencing, just really nice spot to be in.
Okay, so this was worth the drive. That's the main campground up there, campground number 1. Now I'm not filming up there because there's people camping up there and I don't want to be that guy that goes and interrupts their camping trip. So this is the day visitor area, a heap of picnic tables here, really awesome spot. And that road over there goes to campground number 2, which is currently closed. And this is the river down here. We'll just go down and take a closer look. So this is Cooper Creek. Now there were warning signs there saying deep water and steep drop off and all the rest of it. I suspect that's a four-wheel drive crossing through there. Over that other side there's a sign over there, and there's access down here. Not sure how deep that is, hence the no camping sign in the middle of the river. This is a cracking camping spot, without doubt. Some walking tracks here further along the river. Definitely a spot to come back to. Even on a day like today, it's just a great spot to be. Certainly done some work stabilising this bank here with all this rock work. There's some great steps and fences and barbecue tables. Really good spot. So this is the Coopers Creek campground. Just keep in mind that despite the fact that the road goes through, you've probably seen that on the video already, the owner of the Coopers Creek Hotel or Township doesn't allow public access through his property. You'd only have to drive 50 metres of road, but he does have signs up saying no public access. Ironically, there's also a sign up saying drive up to the house and toot for firewood, and he'll sell you firewood. So if you're going to drive to the house, anyway, one of those things. Well worth checking out this campsite though. I think I'll definitely come back here and look to camp here with the family without doubt.
So yeah, being a free camp, it does tend to get very full at peak season, so definitely one for the shoulder seasons. That's the access just there on the left. Looks like a boat ramp more than anything, down into the river crossing. Given it was raining and the river seemed to be up a bit and flowing pretty well, and I was by myself, today was not the day I was going to try that river crossing for the first time. So the rain had just eased up, so we had a nice clear shot. So I've included this footage of the exit back out to the starting area. And just before we got all the way back out to the main road, I did decide to go and explore a couple of side tracks in this area, because why not, eh? So the first one was down to Horseshoe Bend. And you can see here, this is the parking area. There's a picnic table up the end there, and there's a walking track here. You can see that's management vehicle access only, and this is where you start to walk down to the Horseshoe Bend Tunnel. It's about 3.8 kilometres return, and they suggest allowing 1 to 2 hours to actually complete the entire track. So again, one to chalk up to check out down the track when we come back with the family. So went back and headed down this other track that had no signage or indication of where it went, and at this point here it was starting to peter out. It didn't look like it got very much traffic at all, and I was starting to sort of think, well, maybe there isn't actually a track here at all. And also I could see some water around on the track, but I couldn't actually see the track particularly well through all this vegetation, so was starting to sort of wonder a little bit what I was actually driving into, but kept going. And as is sometimes the case, it certainly proved to be worth it. So for those that are wondering too, the Coopers Creek Township that we saw back there, that was kicked off in the 1860s as a mining town, not surprisingly, mining gold, copper and platinum primarily. As I said, there's heaps of history in this area and well worth checking out. It was an area that I had never been to before nor even heard of, so quite a nice find. Yeah, looking at this tree here with a bit of interest and wondering if we're going to fit. You can see a few battle scars there on the tree, just passing out of the GoPro field of view, where others maybe didn't quite fit, but we managed to fit quite okay. And again, just taking it nice and steady and easy along here, because I really couldn't tell exactly what I was driving on. I mean, this GoPro angle has a lot better view of the track than I did. From the driver's seat, obviously this end section of the track opens up nicely, strangely, and it is literally that, it's the end. So it ends right here on this little bluff, with a cracking view out across the valley. So this is probably built up from an old mine or something, maybe built up from tailings or something, but I suspect there's more than a few locals in the area that use this as a nice little secluded camp spot, just at the end of this track here. Certainly be worse places to camp, that's for sure. So chalking this one up, I'm pretty sure I put a location dropper on the HEMA while I was there, so I should be able to get back to this spot down the track. It's not exactly close to home, this part of the high country, so not sure when that will be, but definitely an area I want to get back to. So I did drive a couple of other tracks while I was there, but yeah, look, there wasn't anything particularly worth showing, and really I just recommend you get out and explore this area yourself. There's a lot to see. So this is the main road through to Walhalla, and again, I had no idea that there's actually a historic train station with a restored steam train running several times a day here at Walhalla as well. So this is about 5 k's out of town. Parking area here just on the right. That road straight ahead will take you through to Rawson, which is another little town in this area. And that's the Thompson River down there. And that's the rail bridge and the view through to the train station. Again, there's a new picnic area down there overlooking the river, and I was very lucky that I happened to catch the train leaving just as I arrived. And as is on the screen there, these trains run 2 to 3 times a day. Two times a day basically throughout the year. Good season, they run that extra late food one as well. Really cool old historic railway. And yeah, I was certainly pleased to actually be there and see that. So from here through to the township, basically the road follows on the left hand side of the gorge, and the train line is on the right hand side of the gorge, and the river's down in the base of the gorge. So it's quite scenic to check out. So there's the rail bridge on the right, and the vehicle bridge here that we're heading over now. So from what I understand, a lot of the work was done by volunteers to restore the train and the train line, which is pretty amazing when you consider the work involved. Apologies for the camera angle here, the GoPro's been knocked and I hadn't realised. That's why you can only see the top end of the UHF antenna and not the vehicle at all. Just another really scenic drive here through to the main township area. So the train station at the Walhalla end is just out of town a little bit. Again, there's another car parking area there, and I was lucky enough to find this spot here, and the train doesn't go super fast, so I'm actually ahead of the train now, even though it headed off before I went back and got in my car. So I was able to pull up here and jump out to get some footage of the train coming in. Not sure if they always run free carriages or if sometimes they have more than that.
Here we are, stopped at Walhalla Historic area, cooking up some chicken kebabs that I'm going to put into a wrap and have some lunch. It's been a cold, wet day. A little bit of shelter under the tree here. Didn't want to put the awning out and get wet. But yeah, looking forward to some lunch.
So yeah, just pulled in there to the information centre. There's some public toilets there and some further information on the local area before heading through into the Walhalla Township. Walhalla is probably one of the most amazing historic towns I've ever been to. You can see the little creek here on the left. That's been formed up in a lot of sections almost as a race to support the gold mining activities that occurred here in the past. It had the benefit of when I was here, it was at the tail end of winter, which had seen a lot of rain, so it was super lush and green looking. Just amazing, and given I had no expectations of what was here, it was quite a surprise as well. It's not a big town, Walhalla, but there's a few places you can get food and probably some supplies. I believe there's a general store as well. The Walhalla Hotel just up here on the right is a popular lunchtime eatery. You get all your typical pub bistro food there, and it was certainly busy on the day I came through. As you saw, I just organised my lunch myself, so I didn't stop there on this particular trip. Have actually been back to Walhalla since this trip. Didn't film that trip. Sharon was with me on that one, and we actually stopped at a little cafe up here. We missed out by about 5 minutes on the closing time for meals at the pub, so we stopped at a little cafe up here over the bridge. Food was fantastic. Highly recommend it. That big pile there in front of us is a tailing pile, one of the biggest tailings piles I've ever seen, that's for sure. Gives you some idea of the extent of the mining works that have happened in this little town area here. And again, there's another mine tour from a mine shaft just up here further in town. So just on the right there where it says Miners Cafe, Restaurant and Coffee Shop, great little cafe just in there, recently reopened by some locals. Well worth checking out. Great food, great service. Yeah, definitely recommend it. So yeah, you saw the sign there. As I said, this was completely unexpected. It's like a functioning historic town. Reminds me kind of Sovereign Hill, but it's an actual historic town that's still operating, and people live here rather than something that's been set up for tourists. So just amazing to find. And the town itself, for the size, is quite long because it's compressed on both sides by the fact that it's in this fairly narrow valley, and you can see that channel following all the way along. So all those buildings on the left hand side are accessible by bridges. So yeah, definitely a place I could spend a lot more time. Pretty much going to end this video here. Just wanted to show you the Walhalla Township. Now at this point, what I haven't mentioned is after starting the car up, because I now had the voltage meter in, I could see now that the battery is no longer receiving charge from the alternator. So I had a decision to make. Do I continue north towards home, which is what I've decided to do, or did I turn around, stay on the bitumen and head south? Now that might have been the prudent course of action. Certainly with the benefit of hindsight, that would have been the wiser choice, but that's not what happened. So here we are heading north. We already know the battery's not charging and we're trying to get home. See you in the next one, guys. Thanks for watching.